cliffside. My pronouns are they, them. And this is cliffside permaculture. What are you doing up there, Crazy? We're in the back lot this time because I am strategizing ideas about keeping cuttings going. Now I really need to transplant this, but most other things in here, and some of them leafing out, some of them have leafed out, some of them are in bud, and others are just loose and come right out. And the ground is kind of saturated, I think, a little bit, and maybe even compacted in areas. But the elderberry back there, this is my cuttings zone. And I don't really feel like I have enough of a cuttings zone, but at the same time, this is my first time ever doing cuttings. So I'm adjusting as I go, but I'm finding that I really like doing cuttings. I gotta stick some more mosquito bites in here, or bits or whatever. These have been sitting here like a week because I need to sort through. I needed to undo the fence while I was unobserved. So yes, this metal fence is about 2 feet taller because I had it folded over originally. But as I build up more and more wood chip, almost like a terrace drop between me and the neighbor, which is around about here. The tomatoes you can see in the distance aren't mine, they're his. Originally that was a property of this homeowner, and then they subdivided it for their youngest daughter in the 40s, but they built her a tumble shack. Said tumble shack tumbled, and the guy that lived in this house at the time was the only one who had the funds to deal with a tumbled shack, and he really wanted a garage. I would love someday to be able to reacquire that, but I don't know if that'll ever be in the cards. The time that it was, I was not in a position to do so because I had just had to do the French drain and foundation stabilization, and all of my liquid assets and loanable funds had already been applied to that, which sucks. So, still, maybe someday, who knows? Maybe I'll get another chance. This really needs to be put in as cuttings. As you can see, the top bits aren't so happy about where they're at right now. But at the same time, this is only going medium well, I think, because a lot of them aren't taking, and a lot of them are. And there is a different quantity of water accumulating. It seems like the elderberry really like the deep water part because the water all slopes down here. But it seems like unless something has a full root system, it doesn't like the top. So I may need to level this, and I do want to as I'm able, because there's just a ton of life in here. But it seems like a good way to figure out if something's actually living is, does it fall over when I touch it? Yeah, so hopefully some of these are take, because these are branches from a very delicious and prolific bush form Saskatoon or Juneberry, depending on what you call it. And then over here we have a whole row of elderberry because I had to trim the elderberry. But what I'm finding is that every time I trim something that I know will root, I'm very much motivated to see if I can root it. But keeping it watered enough is difficult for me. So I need to come up with some solutions here. And there are several water runoff things happening. So I think I could beef one or two of them up and still be okay. I have also noticed that my my basement hatch seems to still be frequently filling up with water, which means that the overflow for this isn't far enough away or diverted away enough. I really want to actually attach this at the back, cap this one, and see if I can find something long enough to run the whole way over there. Because that one's getting nothing because the downspout is not a functioning entity. But I think with this watershed, I might be able to. Do you see how I never actually harvested my celery substitute? Yeah, I sure didn't. I might be able to like fill that up with ash and make that a cutting zone. There's several places right along here that instead of being standing water could be, when it rains, could be absorbent cutting zones. However, I also still want the option to be able to dig this plant up in chunks at just about any time, because this is the Joe Pye that I would like to rehome as much of it as possible, and it's seeding throughout the garden, but also it's taking over this corner, and it's great privacy in the summertime, but it's just some random sticks in the winter. And if you've been here more than a few months, you know that I'm still out here all winter, still gardening all winter. Yes, for sure. So I would like a little bit more, like, I can't co-plant with a tree because this base is so thirsty that even though there's a bog I made right there, can you see it? It's the water pipe comes out there from the sump pump and it juts back in here. Even though there's a bog right there, it gets so dry underneath here prior to putting in this overlip that put a hole right there where the water drains into. Gets so dry that, well, you see, it made a daylily go dormant during a daylily, like, blooming period. That daylily thought it was wintertime and shut down. That is the, oh, see? That's my sump pump catch. That is the extent to which Joe Pye creates just such a dense root mass. I would not be able to plant a tree and still have this at all. Like, I want more fruit trees along here. I want it to be a fedge. This isn't really edible. It can be used as a medicine in small quantities, like as a tea. And as you can see, it does not come in small quantities. Well, it did at first, because that thing in 2007, when it was given to me, ooh, looky, was only this big, and it was from the end of a corn row in Katanning. So that's what you're looking at. They make really good plant stakes if you snap them off after they go dormant. I think I might even have a pile of them to show. Maybe, maybe not. I think I stacked them into here. Yeah, this is like a mix of stalks from the sunchoke and stalks from the Joe Pye. Can't really point out. I think maybe the one on top is. I don't know. It's hard to say. Now, if it has roots on the bottom, then it's definitely sunchoke, because these snap off at the base. The roots don't, in any portion, go dormant. So, starting to get tomatoes. I think these are Brandywine. I have no idea what these are. They're a volunteer. They're good though. They're good for fresh eating. They're like Roma shaped, but they're good for fresh eating. And these are my tomatoes from Canada. Look at how big those got. I planted them so late, but they're already so big. And this is my secret seed. I think I have tomatillos. But I don't think any of them are ripe quite yet. I think the husk has to go like papery for them to be ripe. And I potted up one of my sweet taters. Yeah. So there you have it. Hope everything's going really well for you. Thank you so much for visiting the cliffside. I'll let you know what I do about my trouble there with the cuttings space. And this has been Permaculture. Take care. Bye.